Welcome back to the special edition of Hannity. Now, Republicans swept the House this past election with big ideas, but has being in office changed their priorities? And what would you ask if you had the chance to speak to them face to face and hold them accountable? Now, pollster Frank Luntz brought 18 freshman GOP congressmen directly to the people. Anything goes, nothing off limits. Frank.
This show has been filled with firsts. This is the first time when actually members of Congress outnumber members of the American people. But I'm going to give you guys a chance to ask them questions. What's unique about this is that we've got 18 freshmen 100 days after they came into office. So my question to you is, and I want to do this, do the front row. What do you want from Congress? Their level of frustration is so great. What do you want to tell them?
We want specificity on what you're going to do to solve the deficit and the debt crisis.
What are you going to tell them?
Sure. Create an environment we can actually grow business and grow jobs in.
I would like to see either Obamacare defunded or repealed. I want to see some action on that, please.
I want you to stay connected to us and not lose touch with the American people.
I want you to remember that you are the American people. You're supposed to be here representing us.
I want what's so unusual in Washington. I want honesty from our elected representatives, even if it hurts.
This is what they want from you. You've been here for 100 days.
No, I think that's outstanding. Well, something that's impressed me about this group is just seeing the authenticity of it. We came here with a mission, and we're fighting that mission. Now, there's a political reality. We still have the House. We don't have the Senate and the presidency. But I think we're fighting very hard, and we're trying to maintain that understanding.
Arthur, I appreciate what you say, honesty, and just telling you the truth. And I think for me, and my experience has been, is that's what this class has really tried to do, is to get what the truth is and then to share it with you. And I appreciate your asking that.
When Americans are asked to pull together for something that's very important, whether it's the Second World War or after 9/11, there's really a large consensus. And I think that if there's that shared sacrifice, I think it'll happen again.
And right with honesty, I appreciate what Jay's saying about specificity. And we really, as American people, have to look at what Congress is saying and what the leadership is saying and go with those who are being not only honest with us, but specific with us.
And Arthur, not all ideas are equal, and I really believe, and my colleagues believe, that the facts lead us to a conclusion that we truly, if we don't change course, America, as great as we are, is truly headed toward bankruptcy. And many folks on the other side, I've heard them say it explicitly, they don't believe that. And that's a fundamental issue that I think the American people have to work through and get educated on.
Arthur, I carry this quote in my pocket because I agree with you. Honesty and transparency is the key to getting the American public to pull together. I'm pledging to cut the deficit by half by the end of my first term in office. Now, this will not be easy. It will require us to make difficult decisions and face challenges we've long neglected. But I refuse to leave our children with a debt they cannot repay. When we fight for that, we're referred to as extremists and radicals and killing women and children. The fact of the matter is that is a direct quote from President Barack Obama.
Well, I think honesty is very, very important. I also think action is important. And as I mentioned earlier tonight, you can have many, many, many continuing resolutions, but then there's no action. We don't have a budget. So I think your actions are what's going to speak the loudest.
You're absolutely right, and I think actions are more important than words because, let's be honest, one of the reasons I'm here is because the Congress and politicians as a whole have not kept their word. But what I think is very unique in what's actually happening, if you go back just a year and a half, 2 years ago, the entire discussion was about how much are we going to spend. The new discussion is about how much are we going to cut. So we've already, in my opinion, we've already taken a huge step in the right direction.
Now, you didn't vote for the continuing resolution. You didn't vote for the compromise.
I did not.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a bad thing.
How would you defend yourself to them?
Well, look, I think that in my desire to be a representative rather than a congressman, and I think that's congressmen have made this mess, and I think true representation of the people will be able to solve this. I think the American people were very clear on November the 2nd. Go up there and get our fiscal house in order. And in my opinion, running the debts that we currently run, $1.6 trillion deficit this year alone, I just think that the cuts, for me personally, and my constituents, did not go far enough.
Now, you did vote for it. 1 second, you did vote for it.
Yes, I did, and I think the thing last Saturday morning, what I voted for was the fact that I did not want to see us shut down our government. I thought that we needed to have the time to allow people to come back and develop the piece of legislation that they have. But I can tell you right now, when this piece of legislation comes up, $38.5 billion is a raindrop in a very big ocean. So I will not be supporting this piece of legislation.
Good.
The problem I have with this entire process is not whether or not we've cut 5 million, 50 billion, 500 trillion. I don't care what the number is. The fact is we're moving in a direction. And my fear is that you're going to get co-opted and we're not even going to keep this progress going.
I think. Go ahead.
Here's the reality, and I agree with you, man. We didn't come here to be a part of this system, and the fact of the matter is, and you deserve the facts, we've been here for 4 months, and we have now just voted for the largest cut in real dollars in American history. 4 times more than any Congress since World War II. So it's a drop in the bucket, but it's the first step, and we're going to keep taking those steps.
Yeah, the mainstream media is going to come out. They call us extremists. They call the Tea Party people wackos. We all know it. We've all probably been called a few things. Yes, I am a Tea Party supporter.
We've been called lots of names. I listen to you. Sound just like the folks back in Kansas 4 that I hear. I'd love to have you come back. I came here as being a small business owner. For me, what I see is when we're talking about spending and cuts, it's for you. It's so that we can grow the economy and create jobs. That's the mission statement that we have. These fights about a couple billion here or a couple billion there pale in comparison to our ability to create an environment where entrepreneurs will invest in America again.
The thing about it is we're parents. We're fathers. I'm a father. I've got a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old. I'm here for them because I am not going to allow them to be indentured servitude to a government. And I will fight that to the very end.
Jeff?
The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and I was born and raised here, and I've seen many freshman classes come here. And the question I want to know is how are you going to weather the political machine that Washington is, and it's going to eat you up, spit you out? How are you going to handle that? Because we've seen so many come through and gone. They change. We're excited what we hear.
I think one of the things that's different about this past election were the number of people who got involved for the first time and who said, you know what, the election's not over on November 2nd. We're going to hold you accountable on November 3rd. We're going to hold your feet to the fire. And I got to tell you, all of us are getting hundreds of phone calls from those same people saying, hey, remember when I stood up and said we're going to hold you accountable? This is the time. We're doing it now.
And thank you for that. You're a military man.
Absolutely.
You don't break.
No. You know, I've been in 13 different countries, 3 different combat zones, and this is not hard. It's just about, as you all talked about, sticking to your principles, not being co-opted. And we have the opportunity to change this culture, to change the language here in Washington, D.C. And I think that's the important thing. And for us that you see sitting here before you, that's our commitment, that we will lock shields and we will fight together as one to make sure that the future and the legacy of this constitutional republic continues on.
I think Do you believe them? Do you believe them? Are you listening to them?
Yes.
When you take a look at the polling data in America right now, Congress's numbers are still horrific. They want you to succeed, but they're not sure that they will. I want to credit you guys for being respectful in this process because we've seen many town hall meetings that have come apart. And I want to thank you all for answering their questions directly and candidly.
And coming up next, congressional leaders, one from each side of the aisle, go head-to-head with Frank's focus group debating the budget battle, the massive U.S. deficit, and the state of American politics today.